Hello students. Today we are going to know about Vietnam in national liberation movements in the colonies. In mid-19th century, Vietnam came under the direct rule of the French. It influenced all aspects of Vietnamese life just as in India under Britain. Exports, landlordism and peasants. The French wanted to develop Vietnam as an exporter of rice. For this purpose, they made a threefold strategy. First was improving irrigation network. Secondly, encouraging landlordism. And third, encouraging the marketing of agricultural produce like rice and rubber. Vietnam had started exporting two-thirds of its rice production. It had become the third largest exporter of rice in the world. The economy in colonial Vietnam was primarily based on rice cultivation and rubber plantations. These plantations were owned by the French and few Vietnamese elite. Bonded labor was widely used in the rubber plantations. The French made little effort to industrialize the economy. In the rural areas, landlordism spread and big landlords took over the lands of small peasants. They made the peasants work as tenant farmers. As a result, the standard of living declined for the peasants. Vietnamese peasants became covered in debt. They were unable to break free from interest rates, land rents, and taxes. Imagine what the conditions were like for landless peasants. The peasants who rented the land of landlords had to pay rent in two ways. They had to give a share of their produce and also work on the fields and in the homes of the landlords. Also had to pay different kinds of taxes imposed by the landlords. The civilizing mission. Education was one way to civilize the natives. The French needed an educated local labor. Moreover, the French citizens who lived in Vietnam, called colons, feared that they might lose their jobs if the Vietnamese people got educated. Vietnamese language was taught in the primary level in schools and all higher education was in French. Only the Vietnamese elite could enroll in these schools. Emergence of Vietnamese nationalism. Vietnamese teachers quietly modified the text and criticized what was written in the books about French rule. The colonial governments also tried to prevent the Vietnamese people from qualifying for white-collar jobs. Students were inspired by the patriotic feelings, fight for the benefits of society. By the 1920s, students started forming various political parties such as the Party of Young Annam. They also published Annamese Student. Vietnamese student went to Japan to acquire modern education. Vietnamese inspired by China to establish a republican and democratic rule in Vietnam. Many students now went to China, France and later to USSR to study and learn about political ideas. The Great Depression of the 1930s had a deep impact on Vietnam. The prices of rubber and rice came down. This led to rising rural debts, unemployment. The French suppressed these uprisings with great cruelty. In February 1930, Ho Chi Minh established the Vietnamese Communist Party. Japan occupied Vietnam in 1940. Vietnamese had to fight against the Japanese as well as the French. The League for the Independence of Vietnam, Viet Minh, fought the Japanese and recaptured Hanoi in September 1945. The Democratic Republic of Vietnam was formed and Ho Chi Minh became the chairman. They immediately issued a circular for a 25% reduction in land rents. They also cancelled all secondary rents, redistributed communal land and land owned by French and Vietnamese traders. The new Republic of Vietnam. The new Republic of Vietnam faced a lot of challenges. France tried to regain its control. After 8 years of fighting, the France were defeated in 1954. French soldiers and officers were taken as prisoners. After the defeat of France, peace negotiations took place in Geneva. The Vietnamese were persuaded to accept the division of the country. Ho Chi Minh and the communists took control of power in the north. This was handed over to an old emperor who was soon removed by Ngo Dinh Diem. Diem built a suppressive and dictatorial government. His dictatorial rule was opposed by many people who united under the banner of the National Liberation Front, NLF. In the North Vietnam, land of the landlords was taken and distributed among landless peasants. The entry of US into the war. With the help of the Ho Chi Minh government in the north, the NLF fought for the unification of the country. The US was afraid of this unification. It was worried that communists would become powerful in Vietnam. So, it decided to interfere in this unification by sending its troops and arms. Vietnamese civilians died in large numbers in these attacks. Some of the chemical weapons used by the US were napalm and Agent Orange. US underestimated the power of a small country to fight the most technologically advanced country in the world. Peasants played the most crucial role in defeating the most powerful army in the world. Many of the US people questioned the government policy, and this helped to negotiate an end to the war. But fighting between the Saigon regime and the NLF continued. The NLF occupied the presidential palace in Saigon on 30 April 1975 and finally unified Vietnam. Thank you.